Hi, my name is Gloria Trost, and I will be doing my quality of character presentation on passion. So, just to go into a little bit of the quality of character, there are so many aspects of our personality that define who we are as a person, and that is what our quality of character is. So, dictionary.com defines character as the aggregate of features and traits that form the individual nature of some person or thing. So, it's what makes up who you are as a person. So, back to passion. So, what is passion? So, in my own words, I describe passion as dedication, motivation, drive, and willingness to perform something or study something or really do something. You need to have dedication to your trade. You need to have the motivation to be able to continue on with that, the drive, and you need to be willing to actually do it. According to dictionary.com, passion can be described as a strong or extravagant fondness, enthusiasm, or desire for anything. So I find that I'm a very passionate person, and that's why I chose this word. I can't really do things if I'm not passionate about it. I can't bring myself to go through with it, and that's that drive and that willingness to do it. So, for example, I have half a master's degree in reading literacy because I started it thinking I had a graduate assistantship at the college and it would be fine because I wouldn't have to pay tuition, and then I'd have a master's degree and it'd be done. Well, I get halfway through it and I'm just not into it. I'm not passionate about it. It's not what I wanted to do. So that's why I have half a degree in reading literacy, because I just wasn't passionate about it and I couldn't bring myself to go through with the rest of it, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to bring that quality education to those students. While I do appreciate everything that our reading teachers do here in the world, I wouldn't be able to do it as well as I would want to because I didn't have that passion. So going into some biblical examples of the passion, well, really just one. I'm using one of the most obvious, but that does not make it any less worthy of mentioning. So Jesus Christ, he gave up so much for us, and he did so much for us to be able to get into heaven and to be able to live the lives that we live now, to be free to do that. And he had that passion for us, for his children, and that's one of the best feelings in the world. So Mel Gibson also feels this way about Jesus Christ. He produced The Passion of the Christ in 2004. The reason that he was part of this team was because he was so passionate about the subject. He was so passionate about Jesus Christ and what he gave up for us. So it's a very compelling reenactment of things that happened in the Bible, and the clip that I have attached there is of the crucifixion. So if you'd like to watch that, feel free. Another movie getting away from the religious aspect is Footloose. Now, there is a lot of religion in Footloose, but it doesn't have much to do with the story. So Footloose was made in 1984. It was then made into a musical and then remade in the early 2010s era. So it's just about a boy who comes to a town who really loves to dance, and he figures out that you can't. And now there's really no rhyme or reason besides that rock and roll produces sex and drugs. And he is so passionate about the subject that he petitions and he rallies and he gets mostly all of the young people on board, and they go and they petition to have dancing be allowed in this town. And I think that without his passion, without his dedication, his willingness, his drive, that would have never happened. Some other examples of leaders with passion. So Walt Disney. We all know who Walt Disney is. He was an amateur animator. He drew a lot when he was young. As he got older, he got better. He started looking for jobs. He started trying to launch things. And he actually launched several unsuccessful animation companies before coming up with the iconic Mickey Mouse in 1928. So he persevered. He was inspired to keep going and going and going with that drive. And even though he was knocked down multiple times, so I think that's really amazing. Bill Gates, so he created Microsoft. He's down here, right here. He's one of the wealthiest men in America, and so I don't know how anybody can tell you that he wasn't passionate about what he did. I mean, I think he was passionate before he made all of the money, but making that money is a darn good motivation for what you want to do in life. So he was very good at programming when he was young, and in 8th grade, he was actually excused from math at times just to go make these video games because they were so ahead of his time. I mean, at the time that he was in 8th grade, there wasn't a lot of technology in that aspect. And then our last one is Steve Jobs right over here. He developed Apple, and I don't know if anybody doesn't know somebody who has an Apple product, whether it be an iPhone, which I'm recording this on, or a MacBook, which I'm playing my PowerPoint through. You can see them everywhere. So he has developed some of the most well-known technologies of our time, and he continued to be innovative in the market all the way up until the time of his death. And he was always coming up with new ideas. Now, when it was getting closer to his death, I'm sure he wasn't, the stronghold behind all of that, but he was still involved in some aspect, and he had so much passion for what he was doing that he was able to have that drive to keep going. So to go into the athletic portion of it, so athletes compete because they want to. They don't compete because somebody's holding a gun to their head. Nobody's forcing them to be there. They don't need to be at your practices. How do you keep them coming back while still giving them a quality athletic experience? So most coaches, in my experience, are either win, 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 or let's have fun, let's have fun, let's have fun. And really, you need to have a balance in between those two things. It's so important to keep that so that you're still compelling your athletes to be competitive. You're still asking them to put in their best foot forward and put in their best effort, but you can also still have fun with them and still appreciate the sport and why they're there to begin with. So leading with that passion and finding that happy medium, I think, starts with enthusiasm, motivation, and inspiration. If the kids and athletes see how much you care about the sport and how much you care about them and how much fun you're having, it can really rub off on them and make it easier for them to stay with you. So what gives us our passion? Well, you're the only one who can decide that. For me, my passion is teaching, which is why I believe that I coach as well. Coaching is teaching. We've talked about this in so many of the books that we've read in this program at Concordia, and really, coaches are teachers. Now, they're not just teaching you football strategies, they're also teaching you ways to live by, how to love, how to become a teammate, things like that. And that's what my passion is. And anybody else really needs to find their passion by searching inwardly. Somebody who I think has influenced so many people in this way of life, in teaching how to love, in coaching, is Joe Ehrmann. I mean, we've read so many books about him again in our time in Concordia. So in Seasons of Life that we have for this class by Jeffrey Marks, he said this about Joe Ehrmann. He said he did not need a clipboard because he coached from the heart. And I don't think any statement could be truer. I mean, he knew what he wanted. He knew what his athletes wanted, and his athletes knew what he wanted from them. And he was just an amazing man to read about and to watch videos of and everything like that. And just something that I really loved about him was his approach on masculinity and all of that. So the 3 most destructive words that every man receives when he's a boy is when he's told to be a man. And I'm hoping that our society changes to that aspect, and to be more like Joe Ehrmann in that. So passion, I think passion's greatest character quality is to influence others. Using our passion to help others become passionate about a subject. And I think it's a very necessary quality in a leadership position, as many of us are in, to use our passion to help others. And I just think that's really wonderful. Now, in conclusion, while passion isn't always good or isn't always bad, it can be bad. So it can lead to arrogance or self-absorption and things like that. But for the most part, having passion for something is so wonderful, and it can be used in such great ways to help our youth and our colleagues and our peers. And it's really necessary for a person to have passion in order to be human. Here are my references. And then once I upload this video, that will be on this last slide.